So you see where the you see where the, what do you call it? You see why they've given us a breakdown of the turnover, right? This is very, very helpful. So right now we are, you know, SBL, is it SB or STL? SBL, they started with OTC Pharmaceuticals. Remember that, that's what they started with, you know. And we are seeing an increase because this is where they have their experience. When they started over the counter, remember?
Yes, sir.
Over the counter, that's how they started. So you can see an increase. This is, you know, an indication of their expertise, you know, their dominance in this field of expertise. 20 to 30 million. I'm sure along the line, they decided to branch, you know, and that's why I said sometimes it's the problem with scaling. When you're trying to branch into other areas that you are not necessarily familiar with, that's why you might have challenges. OTC is their normal area, right? So at a point, they decided to branch into generic, right? Into generic, you know, it's not going to 5 million. Branded pharmaceuticals, not going too well at all. Not going well at all. So you see, this gives us the breakdown. It gives us the breakdown of the, and we know exactly where we know exactly where the leakage in terms of revenue is coming from. So just to save someone, so someone is asking, what's the difference between, what is branded pharmaceuticals? Let me see, this pharmaceutical is branded, what is it?
Sir, is it those one they had people supply them, but they use their brand in packaging it?
Yeah, so a branded drug is basically a
Imported drug that's packaged by the seller.
It doesn't even have to be imported, right?
Okay.
So for example, if it's what kind of, whatever, I don't know, maybe let's say chloroquine or whatever, or even this COVID vaccine, right?
Yeah.
You know, they are branded because you have AstraZeneca being the brand name behind the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
You know, they are the brand name behind the COVID vaccine. They also have the generic, you know, the generic drugs, they don't have any, they are not branded. They are not branded. It's just like any item you go and buy. Some shoes are branded, some shoes are not branded.
Okay.
It doesn't mean if you wear it, it won't fit you. But some shoes are branded. We have Louis Vuitton. Some shoes too, they are just there, you know, no brand. No brand. So it's just a slight. The reason why people go for brand name is, you know, the same reason why you go for a branded bag or a branded shoe is because of the name behind it. Because of the, you know. I hope that makes sense, or I need to explain a little bit more.
It's okay for me.
Okay. So just think about it in terms of your in terms of branded shoes and, you know, generic shoes. Yeah. Okay, so for branded pharmaceuticals, that's where, you know, they are having a big downside. A big downside. Big downside. So what might be the possible reason? Is it that they are, you know, they are not really known in that area? You know, their brand name is not really known. Is that the reason why? Could be a reason why, you know, their branding is not really known, which I think we mentioned.
Accepted.
Yeah, we mentioned somewhere when I was explaining the Nigerian company that was trying to operate in Ghana, you know.
Red.
Yeah, red, you know. If your brand is not that strong, you know, the reason why some people would buy, you know, take the COVID vaccine is because they believe in AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson. If your brand name is not that strong, then, you know, people will not believe in your product, basically. Now, if you move on to the regional side of things, you have Ghana. They are declining in Ghana seriously. So in Ghana, they are declined by 55. You know, so immediately the model on national competitive advantage comes to mind. There's definitely something happening in Ghana, intense competition happening in Ghana, that's causing a huge drop. Now we were told, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so we were told that exports has a huge potential, right?
Yes, sir.
Export has a huge potential. The only problem is that the staff assigned to the export division is only about 6%. So that was the only issue. And we are seeing that here. In the rest of West Africa, you know, we are seeing an increase. Rest of Africa, we are seeing an increase. But in Ghana, there's a huge problem. So if you were SBL, what you will do, looking at this, please share your thoughts before I even come in. If you are a company and locally you are struggling, but internationally you are doing quite well, what will you do?
You have to realign your resources from the manufacturing to where the group is, which is the export.
Okay. So you have to, that's what we mean by evolutionary change. That's what we mean by evolutionary change. If you remember, one of the things that, let me go back to this part, right?
The board issue.
Yeah, the board talked about certain things from board remit and effectiveness, evolutionary change, digital opportunity, hands-on. So you see all these things. I don't know if it's a phone or something, but if that phone could be, I don't know if someone is calling someone because it's giving us feedback here. So being able to evolve based on the circumstances, you know, based on the circumstance, because clearly they are not winning in Ghana because other companies are coming from elsewhere overseas, coming into the Ghanaian market. So the Ghanaian market is saturated. It's a saturated market. Any comments on this?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
go ahead. Yeah.
The exports, 6% exports of the staff. They should also look at probably, it can be 6%, but the kind of skill that 6% have, that's what will shoot up, you know, the export. So it may not be the quantity that's the 6%, but it may be the quality of that 6% that is there. So what they can do is probably restructure, you know, in terms of who is supposed to be where. So that's probably if all the skilled people are in that 6%, then they move them all to exports, you know, they should take some out and, you know, let me use a crude word to dilute the concentration of that skilled person in that 6%.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. Anytime you are looking at staff or human resources, like I've always said, you look at it in two ways: quantity and quality. Quantity and quality. quantity and quality. So that's very, very important. It's very, very important to note quantity and quality. Quantity and quality. We look at it in those two ways. Okay, so right now we know exactly where the problem is coming from and what we are likely to do to turn things around. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. So Melody, if you can continue for us.
Okay. I'm using the hard copy here. This marks external review note. Pharmaceutical industry in Ghana. So the executive summary. In 2020, the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana was valued at 1.15 billion. It is expected to witness a compound annual growth rate of 21.4% and generate a revenue of 2.06 billion by the end of 2023. SBL accounted for 5.65% of the total Ghanaian pharmaceutical industry's revenue in 2020. Because of its large size, while others accounted for the remaining 94.05%. The pharmaceutical industry in Ghana is fragmented. In 2020, the generic pharmaceutical segment represented the highest revenue share of 51%, while the branded pharmaceutical segment represented the least. The OTC pharmaceutical segment is considerably large in Ghana, constituting 59.34% of the total pharmaceutical industry, attributing to a large number of local manufacturers, particularly in the anti-infectives, analgesics, and multivitamins product segments.
Okay.
In 2020, sorry.
Okay, you just continue so that we can move faster.
Okay. In 2020, the anti-infective therapeutic segment accounted for the highest revenue share of 30.02% of the total pharmaceutical industry in Ghana. It is expected to witness a high compound annual growth rate from 2021 to 2024 and remain the largest therapeutic segment during the year forecast.
Are we done? Hey, seems she's gone off. Hello, Melody. Okay, let me just explain before she comes back. So we are told that the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana was valued at how much? 1 billion in 2020, 1.15 billion. How much revenue did SBL get in 2020?
120 million.
Okay, let's divide 120 million by 1.15 billion. How much does it give us? Can someone do that quick division for us? The size of the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana is 1.15 billion. SBL has 120 million in 2020. So what's
approximately 10%? So 10.43%. That's 120 over 1,150. Yes, 10.43%.
really 10.43%.
Yeah. 120 divided by.
Are we sure? Because the same pre-scene is telling us that SBL accounted for 5.65.
I use the 120, which is the overall, which includes the Ghana, West Africa, and
Yes.
the rest
Okay,
of
so
Africa.
so that's fine. That's fine. So maybe that's most likely where the error is coming from. So you see, we are looking at Ghana specific. So you don't need to include West Africa and all of those people. So I think Ghana alone was how much? 65 million, right? If I'm right. Am I right? Yes. So if you do it that way, you should definitely get 5.65%. If you divide 60,
yes, sir.
65, so I was just doing it so that you see how it works like. I hope everyone is following me. If you divide, let me go back because I don't know if people are following me. If you this is the revenue in 2020 for Ghana, 65 million for Ghana. If you divide that by the size of the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana in 2020, which is 1.15 billion, you should get 5.65.
Yes,
now,
sir.
we are being told that this industry is expected to witness a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 21.4%. So the size of this market is growing. The size of this market is growing. But what does it mean for SBL? If you remember, SBL has done a 4-year forecast. And in their 4-year forecast, they are saying that they have given themselves 0 growth rate. So who is going to take advantage of this growth in the market? Other people, other competitors. Okay, no problem. Other competitors, right? It's other people who are going to take advantage of this extra almost 1 billion by the end of 2023. It's going to other people because SBL themselves are saying that for them, they are projecting a 0% growth rate. I hope that makes sense. So it shows you the level of, even this is an industry that has high opportunities, expanding, but SBL seems to be losing out. And if you look at a lot of the case studies, or a lot of the past questions, that's how it starts. They will do well, then they begin to fall. You know, that's why I always recommend to students, look into the past questions, look into them. SBL accounted for 5.65%. We know how this 5.65% came. We talked about it just not long ago. So I wouldn't want to talk about it too much. It says in 2020, the generic pharmaceutical segment represented the highest revenue share of 51%. 51%, right? So the generic pharmaceutical is the highest in terms of revenue share. But unfortunately, SBL is going down. You know, so that's a problem. Why is the market increasing and SBL going down? What do you think would be some of the reasons? Why is the market increasing on the generic pharmaceutical segment, but SBL themselves are going down? Why do you think this could be the case? Does anyone have an idea?
Sir, please come again.
Yeah, so if you look at, hey, are you people tired already?
No.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that if you look, it says in 2020, the generic pharmaceutical segment represented the highest revenue share of 51%. Right? Of 51%. But if you look at the breakdown of SBL's revenue, you realize that generic pharmaceutical is going down. Okay. New entrants could be a possibility. So all I'm saying is that think about competition is a key issue here in this case. Competition is so don't go into the exam forgetting about Potter's 5 forces, Potter's diamond, and all of that. Don't go into that. We'll talk about models later, but please don't go into it not remembering these things. I beg you. Then it says in 2020, I don't know if Melody read this, in 2020, the anti-infective therapeutic segment accounted for the highest revenue share of 30.02. It is expected to witness a high CAGR from 2021 to 2024 and remain the largest therapeutic segment during the forecast period. Right? So this anti-infective therapeutic segment presents a huge opportunity to SBL. It presents a huge opportunity to SBL. It's very, very important. Is SBL already into anti-infectives? Are they into anti-infectives?
The question was silent on that.
It was silent on that. So we do not know exactly if they are, but this is an area of opportunity that if SBL is not already in, they can exploit. Then one of the things we see here is the increasing awareness about cancer in Ghana, right? So two things I should have pointed out, which almost escaped me. We are doing, kind of like an industry analysis in Ghana, right? So we are looking at two things, the external environment and the country. The external environment and the country. Now, increasing awareness about a subject matter. Where do you think it will fall in the PESTEL framework? Increasing awareness about a subject matter. Where do you think, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly, PESTEL framework?
Social.
The social.
Social, yeah.
Social, the social. So it's presenting an opportunity, right? Because the oncology therapeutic segment, even though it has the smallest revenue share, because of this societal awareness, it's going to become one of the fastest growing segments. So this is an opportunity. When you look at SWOT too, you can put this as an opportunity because it exists in the external environment. I hope that makes sense. Now let's move on to any questions. If not, let's move on to the next paragraph.
Okay. The recent achievement of 84% NHIS coverage in Ghana in 2020 is expected to result in high growth of the pharmaceutical industry, particularly the prescription pharmaceutical, that's the generic and branded segment, because of easy accessibility and affordability of medicines. The judicious efforts of the Food and Drugs Authority in Ghana to control parallel trading and import of counterfeit drugs are expected to contribute to the growth of Ghana's legitimate pharmaceutical industry. Furthermore, The government is also encouraging the local production of essential medicines to improve capacity utilization and reduce imports.
Okay, so you see all these things that they talked about in the last paragraph are government related, right? If a new government comes on, like we've seen, then NHIS, is it existing in Ghana again?
Yeah, it is.
Hey, NHIS. It's actually working in Ghana.
Oh,
Yes.
it's better
Yes.
now.
It's working, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, it works.
Yes, please.
Oh, so you can actually take your card to the hospital and they'll take care of you?
Yes, please.
Yes,
But not
please.
all
But
hospitals.
not all
Yeah.
sicknesses. Oh, wow. But at a point, it was there, though. Oh?
Yeah.
It has been working.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, then that's good. Okay. So we are being told here that the recent achievement of 84% coverage, of the National Health Insurance Scheme is expected to result in a high growth. So the performance of the NHIS has an impact on the pharmaceutical industry. Now, what happens if the NHIS undergoes, undergoes the political, undergoes like a new government comes in and they are no longer interested in the NHIS or they don't treat it as much as a priority? It definitely affects the pharmaceutical industry, right? So what happens on the political level definitely affects, how the industry is run. That's one of the things you should clearly know. It says the judicious efforts of the Food and Drugs Authority in Ghana to control parallel trading and import of counterfeit drugs are expected to contribute to the growth of Ghana's legitimate pharmaceutical industry. So this is, Food and Drugs Authority. They will be responsible for, contribute to the legal side of things to ensure that everything, give legitimacy to the drugs that are on the shelves for citizens to be using. It's very, very important. So immediately, when I look at this whole paragraph, I definitely know that pestle would come in handy. SWOT, and even the Potter's diamond can come in handy. Let's move on to market segments.
Okay. Market segment. The Ghanaian pharmaceutical industry can be broadly divided into three main segments: branded, generic, and OTC pharmaceuticals. Branded pharmaceuticals include research and patented prescription drugs sold by innovator companies, particularly multinationals, through local distributors in Ghana. Generic pharmaceuticals include prescription drugs produced and imported into Ghana by generic companies from India and China and sold through local distributors. OTC pharmaceuticals include drugs sold directly to consumers without a healthcare professional's prescription by local pharmacists and chemists.
Okay, so you see, the case has been good. Sometimes the ICA, they are generous.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are generous. They just want to be kind to students. So they say, oh, let us define it for them. Because they've always been castigating us that our questions are difficult. So here they are telling us the branded pharmaceuticals, right? Who they are. They've given us the definition of generic and even the OTC guys. One of the trends we saw that generic part pharmaceuticals, it forms a huge percentage because the India and China people, they are just creating these drugs and shipping them to the African market. So we have, this is something that's very, very helpful. Let's move on to Okay, so this is how the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana looks like. Just in case you. Okay, so now we are at the appendices. Appendices. So you see, they've done all these analysis for you. You see, they've been good. They've seen that, sometimes, yeah, we see how ICA can be kind. So they are like, oh, we just have to make, life easy for the students. Life easy for the students. So I think at this point, I would read. So all this is an appendix, right? The appendix gives you more information. Generally, I think this pre-seen material is quite simple compared to other ones. It's quite, I know some people might not agree, but I think it's quite simple.
The questions will also be simple.
Yeah, it's quite simple. So this is the Bismarck's. This is Bismarck. Who remembers Bismarck?
Bismarck guy.
Yeah, he's the consultant.
Yes, please.
Bismarck is the consultant. So Bismarck Strategic Review. This is the summary data notes, financial health based upon the accounts to 31st December 2020. Profit before tax, it says it was 40% down on last year. And it has been 60% down over the last 3 years. Sales, 14.28% down on last year, 30% down over the last 3 years. Net current assets. What is net current assets? So for the sales, we realized that, right, sales was down, profit was down. We realized that when we are even doing analysis. But net current assets, what's net current assets? It says it was up on last year. We are almost there. Then, God willing, tomorrow we do the likely questions. We solve them. I give you the report, the material, and then everyone is happy. But we are almost there. And the questions and answers. The students like the questions and answers. So if you don't give them question and answers now, then they're okay. So net current assets. Please, what's net current assets? Caleb says net current assets.
And I agree with.
Caleb says net current assets
minus current liability.
Okay, current assets minus current liabilities. So net current assets was up by 3.33 from last year. Trade receivables, a lot of these things, we talked about them when we are analyzing the financial statement. Trade receivables, we saw that it was 55.55 up on last year because it increased from, I think, 12 to 18 to 28, something like that, yeah, to 18 to 28. Trade payables was also up. Cash at bank went down, which we highlighted. It was 30% down over 3 years. Dividend, retained earnings, shareholders' funds. Shareholders' funds increased. Shareholders' funds increased. So now let's look at customers who had been with SBL for more than 10 years. This is kind of like a survey that they did with their customers to assess, maybe, some key things, right? So they asked their customers, how do you rate SBL for product quality and brand reliability? How do you rate SBL for product quality? Now, another model that comes to mind that you should take note of, which we will discuss, God willing, tomorrow, is the balance scorecard. The balance scorecard, very, very important model. The balance scorecard, which looks at 4 perspectives. So customers are saying that, 30% of them are saying excellent, 40% good, some say fair, some say poor. Some say poor. Majority of them are saying it's good. Now let's move on to price. So we've started with price. The reason why the survey was designed along these lines is that the overall vision of SBL is what? Quality and affordability. Quality and affordability. So they are always, they designed the survey to reflect that vision. Now, price. 10% think that the price is excellent. 20% think that it's good. 60% think that it's fair. So what does this tell you? What does this tell you? 60% say fair. What does this tell you?
Can we say that means that, first of all, the customers are very price sensitive. So, and the prices may not be good. That is, prices may be a little bit higher as compared to some of their competitors.
Yes, so it gives you an indication that the prices may not be as good compared to competitors. May not be as good compared to competitors. Now, and it also shows you that they might be competing on price as well. So, they could also be that they are very price sensitive. Now, how do you rate SBL on service? 70% say it's excellent. So, the main issue that we are having here is the price, in my opinion, is the price. I won't be surprised because this is where the pre-sim material ends. I won't be surprised if a question comes on price or something related to price comes in. That's why from the onset, I told you to go and master the 4 Ps. We'll be talking about it. Product, place, price, promotion. We've talked about products, which is the product of SBL. We've talked about place, which is how they distribute. We've talked about pricing. We didn't see too much of it. And then promotion. We don't even know how they promote. We're not told much about it. I hope you remember the 4 Ps. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then you have customers who had been with SBL for less than 10 years. Those who came, this is Paul Mantem, those who came not long ago. How do you rate SBL for product quality and brand reliability?
Yes, sir.
Right. Excellent, 10%, good, 40%, fair, 40%, poor, 10%. So about 80% think is good or fair. Now let's move on to price. So you see the issue with price. That's why I said a question on price might come. Those who have been with SBL not long ago, they think that, see the number who are saying poor, 45%. 85% are around the fair and poor region. So there's definitely something wrong with price. That is the reason why their turnover is low.